First up, the 1995 Washington silver quarter dollar with the D mint mark, especially in a dirty and black color shade condition. And you might be thinking, how can a coin from 1995 be valuable, and even more, how can a dirty, dark, or black-toned coin be worth serious money? So in this video, we're going deep into the history, the design, the minting details, the silver content, the condition factors, the error possibilities, and most importantly, the real value of this coin in today's market in dollars. First, let us understand something very important. Not every 1995 quarter is silver. In 1995, most Washington quarters were made for circulation using copper-nickel clad composition, and those are very common and usually worth only face value, unless they have a rare error. However, the 1995 silver Washington quarters were specially made as part of proof sets for collectors. These special silver coins contain 90% silver and 10% copper, and they were not intended for regular circulation, but sometimes coins get removed from sets and later appear in the market individually. Now here is where it becomes interesting. You mentioned a 1995 D mint mark coin. Normally, the silver proof quarters were struck at the San Francisco Mint and carry an S mint mark. However, if someone finds a 1995 D quarter that appears silver in color, weight, and ring sound, then it is extremely important to check whether it could be a rare mint error struck on the silver planchet by mistake, because that would make the coin highly valuable and extremely rare. The Denver Mint produced millions of 1995 D quarters for everyday use. These are clad coins with no silver content, and in circulated condition, even with dirt and black toning, they are usually worth 25 cents. However, if we are specifically discussing a true silver version or a rare error piece, then the value changes dramatically. Let us now talk about the design of the 1995 Washington quarter. The obverse features the left-facing portrait of George Washington, originally designed by John Flanagan. His profile is strong and detailed, with the word Liberty above his head, the phrase "In God We Trust" on the left, and the year 1995 on the right side below the date. You'll find the D mint mark indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse shows the heraldic eagle with outstretched wings clutching arrows and olive branches with the words United States of America and quarter dollar surrounding the design. This classic reverse was used for decades before the state quarter program began in 1999. Now let us focus on the dirty and black color shade condition. Many collectors actually appreciate natural dark toning, especially on silver coins. When silver reacts with air, moisture, and sulfur over time, it develops toning, which can range from light gray to deep black, sometimes even showing rainbow colors. A black-toned silver quarter can look unattractive to some people, but to experienced collectors it can indicate originality and age. If the toning is natural and not artificially created, it can actually increase the value of the coin. However, if the coin is only dirty due to circulation grime, oil, or environmental damage, then the value depends mostly on the underlying condition. If the details of Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers remain sharp and only the surface is dark, then the coin may still grade in fine, very fine, or even extra fine condition. Grading plays a huge role in value. Even slight differences in wear can mean big changes in price. Let us now discuss the silver content value. If the coin is confirmed to be a 90% silver quarter, then its melt value alone depends on the current silver price. A silver Washington quarter contains approximately 0.1808 troy ounces of pure silver. If silver, for example, is around $25 per ounce, then the melt value would be around $4 to $5 just based on silver content alone. And when silver prices rise, that melt value increases accordingly. But collector value is often higher than melt value, especially for proof silver coins in excellent condition. A 1995 silver proof quarter can sell in today's market around $10 to $25, depending on condition and eye appeal. If graded in high proof grades, the price can rise even higher, sometimes reaching $50 or more for perfect examples. Now, let us imagine a rare scenario where a 1995 D quarter was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet intended for proof coins. This type of mint error would be extremely rare and highly collectible. In that case, the value could jump dramatically into hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on authentication and grade. Error collectors pay strong premiums for wrong planchet errors, especially when confirmed by professional grading services. Another important factor is weight. A regular clad 1995 D quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, while a silver quarter weighs about 6.25 grams. This small difference can help determine whether the coin contains silver. If someone believes they have a silver 1995 D quarter, checking the weight with a precise scale is a critical first step. Condition also matters heavily. A dirty, black-toned coin that still has strong luster underneath and minimal wear could grade higher than expected. Sometimes collectors prefer original dark toning over cleaned, bright surfaces. Cleaning a coin usually reduces its value significantly because it damages the original surface and removes natural toning. So if you own a dark 1995 D silver quarter, it is usually better not to clean it. In circulated condition, a normal clad 1995 D quarter with heavy wear and dark color is generally worth 25 cents, maybe slightly more if in better shape, but nothing dramatic. However, if the coin is silver, the value jumps to its melt value of around $4 to $5, and if it's a proof silver coin in excellent condition, it can sell for $10 to $25 or more. And in the rare event of a confirmed silver error with D mint mark, the value could range from $500 to several $1,000s, depending on demand and grade. Collectors today are always searching for unusual pieces. Many valuable coins have been discovered in pocket change, rolls from banks, and inherited collections. The key is knowledge and attention to detail. The 1995 Washington quarter may seem modern, but rare variations and silver issues still attract strong interest, especially as silver prices fluctuate and collectors build date and mint mark sets. So if you have a 1995 Washington quarter with a D mint mark and it appears darker or black in color, do not ignore it. First, check the weight. Second, examine the edge. A clad coin will show a copper-colored stripe along the edge, while a silver coin will have a solid silver-colored edge without copper visible. Third, consider having it authenticated if you truly believe it might be struck on silver. In today's market, most 1995 D clad quarters in dirty condition are worth 25 cents. Silver-proof examples are typically worth between $10 and $25 depending on grade and silver price, while rare error examples can reach into the hundreds or thousands of dollars, making them extremely desirable among serious collectors. The story of coin collecting teaches us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes a dark, unattractive coin can turn out to be a hidden treasure. Understanding mint marks, composition, grading, and market demand is what separates ordinary change from extraordinary finds. And the 1995 Washington silver quarter with a D mint mark, especially in an unusual, dirty black shade condition, reminds us to always look twice before spending a coin, because you never know when a simple quarter might be worth far more than 25 cents. The 1972 Washington quarter with the D mint mark and why collectors are always curious about its real value in today's market, especially when the coin is found in extra fine condition. Many people think every old coin is rare and valuable, but the truth is, value depends on mintage, condition, demand, and overall eye appeal. The 1972 D Washington quarter is a perfect example of a coin that is common in circulation, yet still holds collector interest when preserved in better condition. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington. The obverse features a left-facing portrait of Washington, designed by John Flanagan, and the reverse for 1972 shows the traditional eagle with outstretched wings holding arrows and olive branches. By 1972, the composition of the quarter had already changed from silver to copper-nickel clad metal. After 1964, quarters were no longer made with 90% silver for circulation. Instead, they were struck with a copper core layered between nickel alloy surfaces. That means the 1972 D quarter contains no silver value, and its worth comes purely from collector demand and condition. The D mint mark on this coin indicates it was struck at the Denver Mint. In 1972, the Denver Mint produced more than 300 million quarters for circulation. Because of this extremely high mintage, the coin is not rare in lower grades. Millions were released into daily commerce, and many survived in worn condition. Even today, it is still possible to find a 1972 D quarter in pocket change, although most examples will show heavy wear from decades of use. Now let us focus on condition, because condition is everything when discussing coin value. An extra fine coin, also called XF or EF on the grading scale, shows moderate wear on the highest points of the design, but still retains strong detail. On the obverse of a 1972 D quarter in extra fine condition, you will see noticeable wear on Washington's hair above the ear and along the cheek and jawline, but the hair details remain visible. The word Liberty and the date 1972 should be sharp and clear. The rim should be full and not merging into the lettering. On the reverse, the eagle's breast feathers will show some wear, but most feather detail is still present. The wings will have visible separation in the feather lines, although not as sharp as an uncirculated coin. Because so many of these quarters were produced, an extra fine example is not considered scarce. In today's market, a 1972 D Washington quarter in extra fine condition usually sells for a small premium above its face value. Most commonly, the value ranges from around 50 cents to about $1, depending on eye appeal and surface quality. Coins with attractive surfaces and minimal marks may sell closer to the higher end of that range, while darker or heavily marked examples may trade closer to face value. The difference is not dramatic because supply remains very high. It is important to understand that advertised prices are not always the same as actual selling prices. Many sellers list coins at higher prices, but completed sales give a better indication of true market value. For extra fine 1972 D quarters, actual transactions typically stay within the low single-dollar range. That reflects the reality that collectors can easily find examples in this grade without much difficulty. Where this coin becomes more valuable is in higher uncirculated grades. When a 1972 D quarter is preserved without wear and retains its original mint luster, the price increases. In mint state grades such as MS-63 or MS-64, the coin may sell for a few dollars. In even higher grades like MS-65 and above, values can rise into double digits and sometimes much more if the coin is exceptionally well struck with clean surfaces. The very finest known examples certified at the top of the grading scale are far scarcer and have sold for significantly higher amounts because condition rarity becomes the key factor. However, for the average collector who owns a circulated 1972 D quarter in extra fine condition, the realistic expectation should be modest. This coin represents a piece of American history from the early 1970s, a time of economic change and heavy coin production. While it does not contain silver and is not rare in circulated grades, it still holds value as part of a complete Washington quarter collection. Many collectors enjoy building date and mint mark sets, and an extra fine example can serve as a solid mid-grade addition. Another factor that can influence value is the presence of mint errors. Although not common, some 1972 D quarters have been found with minor errors, such as off-center strikes, double die features, or striking anomalies. If a coin has a genuine and noticeable mint error, its value can be much higher than a normal example, even in circulated condition. Collectors interested in error coins often are willing to pay premiums depending on the type and visibility of the error. When evaluating your own coin, always examine the surfaces carefully. Look for scratches, heavy contact marks, discoloration, or cleaning. A coin that has been harshly cleaned can lose much of its collector value, even if it appears shiny. Natural wear is acceptable in extra fine grade, but artificial damage reduces desirability. If you believe your coin is in unusually strong condition, close to uncirculated, you may consider professional grading, since certified coins often attract stronger buyer confidence. In summary, the 1972 D Washington quarter in extra fine condition is a common but collectible coin. With a mintage exceeding 300 million pieces, it is not rare in circulated grades. In today's market, its value typically ranges between 50 cents and $1, depending on overall appearance. While it will not make someone rich, it remains an important part of the long-running Washington quarter series, and a reminder that condition plays the most important role in determining coin value. Collecting coins like this teaches patience, attention to detail, and an appreciation for history hidden in everyday pocket change.
Next up, the 1981 Washington silver quarter dollar with a D mint mark in a unique dirty and black color shade condition. This coin is not only a piece of monetary history, but also a collectible that has intrigued numismatists because of its condition, rarity, and market value. The Washington quarter has been a staple of United States coinage since 1932, and the 1981 issue represents a period when the U.S. Mint was producing quarters primarily for circulation, but also with some for collectors in special sets. The D mint mark indicates that this particular quarter was minted in Denver, which is important to note because mint locations can influence both rarity and value. The 1981 Washington quarter features the classic design of George Washington on the obverse, crafted to honor the first president of the United States. The obverse design shows a detailed portrait of Washington facing left with the inscriptions United States of America, Liberty, and In God We Trust surrounding the bust. The reverse design remained consistent for Washington quarters minted from 1932 to 1998, making the series instantly recognizable to collectors and the public alike. The 1981 D Washington quarter was minted in high numbers, as quarters from this period were intended mainly for everyday circulation. The mintage for the Denver Mint in 1981 was substantial, reaching hundreds of millions of coins, which would suggest that these coins should be relatively common. However, what makes this particular coin more interesting is its dirty and black color shade condition. Coins that have developed significant toning, discoloration, or environmental effects over decades can develop unique appearances that collectors often find attractive even if they are not in pristine mint condition. This black or darkened coloration usually results from oxidation, handling, exposure to various elements, and the natural aging of the metal alloy. Collectors value coins like the 1981 D Washington quarter in dirty or black color shade for a few reasons. First, the color and patina can give the coin character, making it stand out from millions of similar coins that have circulated and cleaned improperly. Second, some collectors are specifically interested in coins with original toning that shows the passage of time because it can tell a story about where the coin has been and how it has been preserved. Finally, coins in unusual color shades can attract premium prices when sold at auctions, especially if the coin is still structurally sound and has good detail on both the obverse and reverse. When we examine the coin, we notice that the details on George Washington's portrait may be slightly softened due to circulation wear, but the key elements, such as the date 1981, the D mint mark, and the lettering remain clearly visible. This is crucial for determining its market value because collectors and dealers look for readability, design integrity, and overall appeal. Despite being circulated and showing a darkened shade, a coin like this can still command a respectable price among collectors who specialize in Washington quarters, coins with unique toning, or Denver Mint issues. In today's market, the value of a 1981 D Washington quarter in dirty and black color shade condition can vary depending on factors such as the intensity of the black coloration, overall wear, and whether the coin has been cleaned or damaged. The dirty black toning tends to make the coin more appealing to certain collectors rather than less. In circulated condition with this unique color, collectors are often willing to pay anywhere between $12 and $35 for such a coin at auction or in private sales. The market can fluctuate based on demand, but the combination of the D mint mark, the 1981 date, and the darkened appearance positions this coin as an interesting collectible rather than just a common quarter from circulation. Collectors interested in this type of coin should consider a few important points. First, avoid attempting to clean the coin because cleaning can damage the surface and significantly reduce value. Second, examine the coin for any signs of scratches, dents, or corrosion that could detract from its desirability. Third, documentation of provenance or previous sale history can sometimes increase interest among collectors. Fourth, storing the coin properly in a protective holder or sleeve will help preserve its current toning and prevent further unwanted damage. It is also important to understand that coins like this have both historical and aesthetic value. While the mintage numbers were high, the passage of over 40 years has created opportunities for unique circulation patterns and natural toning, which are highly sought after in modern numismatics. Collectors enjoy the story behind each coin, and the 1981 D Washington quarter in black shade tells a story of circulation, time, and the chemical reactions that gave it its distinctive appearance. The darkened surface can highlight certain elements of the design, adding depth and character that a standard circulated quarter might not possess. For anyone looking to add this coin to a collection, it serves as an entry point into the world of numismatics while still offering the excitement of owning a coin with unique characteristics. Unlike coins in pristine, uncirculated condition, which can be expensive and hard to find, a circulated 1981 D quarter with black toning is accessible and provides a tangible connection to U.S. history. The combination of its Denver origin, recognizable Washington design, and the striking dark coloration makes it an excellent conversation piece for display, study, or as part of a thematic collection focusing on unique coin toning. To summarize, the 1981 Washington silver quarter dollar with a D mint mark in dirty and black color shade condition is more than just a coin used for everyday transactions. It is a collectible item that combines historical significance, aesthetic appeal, and market value. The combination of its mintage, Denver origin, circulation history, and distinctive toning makes it a coin that draws attention among collectors. Its current market value ranges approximately between $12 and $35, depending on condition and demand, which is quite remarkable for a coin that might have spent decades in circulation and environmental exposure. While it may not reach the prices of rare or error coins, it holds a special place in any coin enthusiast's collection and provides insight into the ways coins change and develop character over time. This coin serves as a reminder that even modern coins can become interesting collectibles when they show unique characteristics, and it demonstrates how numismatics is not only about rarities.
Next up, the 1965 Washington silver quarter dollar without mint mark is one of the most talked about coins in modern American coin history because it represents a major turning point in United States coinage. The year 1965 was the first year when regular production quarters were no longer made from 90% silver. Rising silver prices and nationwide coin shortages forced the government to remove silver from circulating quarters and replace it with a copper and nickel-clad composition. Because of this historic change, many collectors pay close attention to the 1965 date. One important detail about the 1965 quarter is the absence of a mint mark. During that period, mint marks were temporarily removed from coins to reduce hoarding and speed up production. So when you see a 1965 Washington quarter without a mint mark, it does not mean it is rare by itself. It simply means it was produced during the special no mint mark period. Every regular circulation 1965 quarter was made without a mint mark. Now, let us talk about the design. The obverse of the coin features the familiar portrait of George Washington facing left. The word Liberty appears above his head, and the motto, In God We Trust, is placed to the left. The date, 1965, appears below the bust. On the reverse side, you see the eagle with wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches. The words United States of America and quarter dollar are clearly visible, along with E pluribus unum above the eagle. In extra fine condition, most of these details are still very sharp and clear. When we describe a coin as extra fine, it means the coin has seen circulation, but still has strong detail. On the 1965 Washington quarter in extra fine condition, you'll notice light wear on the high points, such as Washington's hair above the ear and the top of the eagle's wings. However, the overall design remains bold and attractive. The lines in the hair are mostly visible, and the feathers on the eagle still show clear separation. There should not be heavy scratches or deep damage. The coin should have a pleasing overall appearance even though it has been used. Because more than 1 billion of these quarters were produced in 1965, the coin is considered common in normal circulated grades. Most examples found today are worth only face value or slightly above face value. However, condition always makes a difference. In today's market, a 1965 Washington quarter without mint mark in extra fine condition usually sells for around $3 to $10, depending on eye appeal and demand. If the coin has exceptional sharpness and very attractive surfaces, it may sometimes reach around $15 or slightly more. These values are based on recent market trends for standard clad business strike coins in this grade. It is very important to understand that the high values people sometimes hear about are connected to rare error coins. A very small number of 1965 quarters were mistakenly struck on leftover silver planchets from 1964. Those rare silver error coins can sell for thousands of dollars, but these are extremely rare and must be verified by weight and metal testing. A normal clad 1965 quarter without mint mark does not contain silver and does not have high silver value. Collectors are still interested in the 1965 quarter because it marks the first year of clad coinage. It represents the end of an era when American quarters were made of real silver. Many collectors include it in date and typesets to show the historical transition. Even though it is not rare, it holds historical importance. If you have a 1965 Washington quarter without mint mark in extra fine condition, you have a coin that is over 60 years old and still shows strong detail. While it may not make you rich, it can still bring several dollars in today's market. The key factors that influence the value are overall sharpness, surface quality, and absence of major damage. Always check the edge of the coin to confirm it shows the copper stripe, which indicates standard clad composition. In today's dollar market, the realistic value for this coin in extra fine condition remains in the single-digit to low double-digit range. It's a common but historically significant piece that continues to interest collectors who appreciate the story behind the change from silver to clad. Next up, the 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark in fine condition. This coin holds a special place in the hearts of collectors due to its history, composition, and the fact that it is part of the series of quarters struck before the U.S. Mint ceased using significant amounts of silver in circulation coins. The 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar is composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, which gives it a distinct weight and feel that immediately sets it apart from the clad coins that became common in the mid-20th century. The absence of a mint mark indicates that it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which is significant because coins from Philadelphia in this era were produced in large quantities, yet certain coins in high grade or with specific conditions are still highly sought after by collectors. This coin features the classic Washington quarter design, which was originally introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The obverse of the coin displays a left-facing portrait of George Washington, with the inscriptions including Liberty and the famous phrase, "In God We Trust," just below the chin. The date, 1979, is positioned at the lower portion of the coin, which helps identify the specific year of minting. The reverse side features an eagle with wings partially spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath. This design has been admired for decades for its simplicity yet iconic representation of the United States. Collectors place significant value on coins like the 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark for several reasons. First, the coin contains real silver, which means its intrinsic value is tied to the fluctuating price of silver on the market. Second, collectors appreciate coins that are preserved in fine condition. Fine condition is a grading term which indicates that while the coin shows some wear on the highest points of the design, the overall details of George Washington's hair and facial features, as well as the eagle on the reverse, remain clearly visible. The rims of the coin are still defined, and there are no major scratches or damage. The mintage of the 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar from Philadelphia was approximately 97 million coins, which may seem like a very large number. However, many of these coins were circulated heavily and melted over time for their silver content. This scarcity in collectible condition, especially in fine and higher grades, has made coins like this one more desirable to collectors. In terms of errors and varieties, while the 1979 quarter does not have famous major errors, it is always important for collectors to inspect coins for double dies, slight misstrikes, or planchet variations which can occasionally occur even in large mintages. These minor differences can significantly affect the market value in some cases, pushing the price above the standard market range. Currently, the market value of a 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark in fine condition is influenced both by the silver spot price and collector demand. For a coin in this condition, you can expect a value in the range of $25 to $40. This value may fluctuate slightly depending on the current price of silver and how many coins of similar condition are available on the market. Coins that are certified by professional grading services often sell for a premium because collectors have confidence in the coin's authenticity and condition. Collectors who seek this coin are often those looking to complete a Washington quarter silver set, or those interested in silver coins from the late 20th century. It is also popular with investors who prefer tangible assets like coins that have both historical and intrinsic value. Unlike purely circulated quarters, which may be worth face value, the 1979 silver quarter offers a tangible investment in precious metal while also preserving a piece of numismatic history. In addition to the basic collector interest, this coin can be a centerpiece for educational purposes. It allows collectors and students to understand the history of U.S. coinage, the transition from silver to clad coins, the importance of mint marks, and how circulation affects coin preservation. The 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar represents a transitional period in U.S. coinage and serves as a reminder of the craftsmanship and care put into coins before modern mass production. When purchasing a 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar in fine condition, it is important to examine the coin carefully. This includes checking for signs of cleaning damage, which can reduce the value, checking for dings or deep scratches, and verifying the silver content. If the coin has been certified by a professional grading service, the buyer can have confidence in the coin's authenticity and condition. In summary, the 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark in fine condition is a coin that offers both intrinsic value due to its silver content and collectible value due to its age, condition, and historical significance. While it was minted in large numbers, many coins did not survive in fine condition, making it a sought-after piece for collectors. Its market value today ranges from $25 to $40, depending on the silver price and overall coin condition. Owning this coin allows collectors to connect with the history of U.S. coinage while also investing in a tangible asset that carries both historical and monetary value. Whether you are a seasoned collector or a new enthusiast, the 1979 Washington silver quarter dollar is a meaningful coin to have in your collection. Its classic design, historical significance, and silver content make it a coin that will continue to be appreciated for generations to come.
Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter with the D mint mark. This coin represents one of the most common quarters struck by the Denver Mint in 1979, but when we start to look at its story, its design, its place in numismatic history, and its value today, we begin to see why collectors still pay attention to this modest piece of metal. The Washington Quarter series itself began in 1932 as a commemoration of the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and since then it has become a staple of everyday American currency. By 1979, the quarters had long since transitioned away from their original silver composition to a copper-nickel clad composition. This change had taken place in 1965, when the rising cost of silver made it impractical to continue striking coins from precious metal. Next up, the 1979 Washington quarter with the D mint mark. This coin represents one of the most common quarters struck by the Denver Mint in 1979, but when we start to look at its story, its design, its place in numismatic history, and its value today, we begin to see why collectors still pay attention to this modest piece of metal. The Washington Quarter series itself began in 1932 as a commemoration of the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and since then it has become a staple of everyday American currency. By 1979, the quarters had long since transitioned away from their original silver composition to a copper-nickel clad composition. This change had taken place in 1965, when the rising cost of silver made it impractical to continue striking coins from precious metal. The 1979 quarters, including the Denver Mint examples, were composed of an outer layer of 75% copper bonded to 25% nickel over a pure copper core, giving them the familiar silvery look we associate with everyday quarters of our lifetime.
The Denver Mint struck an enormous number of these coins, almost 490 million examples, making them very common in circulation and in collections around the world. The mint mark for Denver is the small letter D, typically found on the obverse side of the coin, just behind Washington's ponytail. This small letter gives collectors a way to distinguish Denver issues from those struck in Philadelphia, which have no mint mark, and those struck in San Francisco, which carry an S mint mark. The sheer volume of production means that for most grades and conditions, this is not a rare coin. In fact, for coins that show the wear and tear of everyday use, the market price rarely rises above face value. A 1979 D Washington quarter in good circulated condition, the type of coin you might find in pocket change or loose in a jar at home, is generally worth about 25 cents or slightly more. This reflects the fact that hundreds of millions of these coins were released into circulation, and most survive today in similar condition. Circulated means the coin has been used in everyday commerce and carries scratches, worn surfaces, and lacks crisp detail, especially on the high points of the design, like Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. In such a grade, the coin is essentially a collector's curiosity rather than a rare collectible. The value for this grade of coin in today's market remains close to its face value, around $0.25. If the coin has somewhat better detail and stronger relief, but still shows evidence of circulation, some guides may place its value at a small premium above face value, perhaps up to a few dollars, but this is not typical for most coins you'll encounter. Collectors looking for higher condition examples focus instead on uncirculated or mint state pieces. An uncirculated example that has never been used in commerce and shows full original luster, sharp detail, and minimal contact marks can fetch higher prices. Even in uncirculated grades, the values usually remain modest unless the grade is exceptionally high. For example, mid to high uncirculated grades might sell for a few dollars to perhaps around $10 or more depending on market conditions and collector demand. When we look at the premium end of the market, where coins are professionally graded and certified by respected grading services, the values can climb significantly. In high grades such as MS67 or above, there have been recorded sales at auction for hundreds or even over $1,000. These coins are extremely rare and represent a tiny fraction of the total population struck in 1979. Most collectors and investors will never encounter these top-tier examples because they require nearly perfect surfaces, exceptional eye appeal, and very strong strike quality. When we talk specifically about a 1979 D Washington quarter in good condition, however, it is important to set realistic expectations. The vast majority of these coins will be worth around face value in the marketplace, and even experienced collectors will tell you that for common dates like this, condition is the primary driver of value. Unless your coin has remarkable eye appeal, unusually bold detail, or an error that attracts specialized collector interest, its worth in today's coin market is a modest sum. In fact, many examples of this coin are still found in circulation today, passed from one hand to another, still accepted for everyday purchases at 25 cents. That does not mean they are uninteresting. On the contrary, they tell a story about the coinage of their era, the minting practices of the Denver facility, and the economic context of late 20th century United States currency. They remind us that even the most common coins have a place in the broader narrative of numismatics. They also serve as a gateway for new collectors who might begin with a single coin that sparks curiosity. As always, when evaluating a coin, consider consulting reference guides, price charts, and experienced collectors to gain a fuller understanding of what you have. A 1979 D Washington quarter in good condition will not bring an extraordinary sum at auction or in dealer listings, but it remains an enduring piece of American coinage with a value rooted in both history and everyday utility. Keep exploring your coins, learn more about their background, and you might find connections to bigger stories in history and collecting. Next up, the 1967 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark in fine condition, a coin that continues to attract attention from collectors and investors alike. The 1967 Washington quarter is part of the iconic series first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. And since then, this series has become one of the most recognized coins in American numismatics. Unlike earlier quarters from this era, the 1967 quarter was struck in a 90% silver composition, a feature that makes it inherently more valuable than later clad issues, which began in 1965. The absence of a mint mark on this coin indicates that it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint during a period when the U.S. Mint had temporarily removed mint marks to discourage coin hoarding and speculation during the silver shortage of the mid-1960s. In terms of historical context, 1967 was a year of transition in the United States. The country was experiencing cultural shifts, economic growth, and a continuing interest in preserving historical legacies. The Washington Quarter itself embodies the respect and admiration for one of the nation's founding fathers, with its classic obverse design featuring the profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, and the reverse portraying the traditional eagle perched on a bundle of arrows framed by olive branches. The artistry and symbolism of the design have remained largely unchanged since its introduction, creating a sense of continuity and heritage that appeals to collectors. When we look at mintage numbers, the 1967 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark, in fine condition, had a substantial production with over 750 million pieces minted in Philadelphia. This high mintage might suggest that the coin is common. However, silver coins from this era have been sought after because of their silver content and the fact that many circulated coins have been lost to melting and damage over time. Fine condition coins are particularly interesting because they show moderate wear on the high points of the design, but still retain enough detail to appreciate the artistry and historical significance. This level of preservation is attainable for collectors who want an affordable entry point into silver quarter collecting, while still owning a piece of numismatic history. Collectors also pay attention to design details when evaluating the 1967 Washington silver quarter dollar. Fine condition coins will show noticeable wear on Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers on the reverse, but the outlines and key features remain visible. This helps establish the coin's authenticity and condition grade, which directly impacts market value. Coins in this category are often sought after for completing typesets or for silver content investments because the intrinsic metal value provides a floor for their price, while the collectible aspect can add a premium. In today's market, the value of a 1967 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark in fine condition fluctuates based on demand for silver coins, collector interest, and overall market trends. As of the latest auctions and sales, a coin in fine condition typically ranges between $25 to $40, with slight variations depending on buyer and seller preferences. A well-preserved example with minimal damage or toning may command a higher price, whereas a coin with more significant wear or surface issues will be closer to the lower end of the spectrum. These values reflect not only the silver content, but also the collectible appeal for those building sets of Washington quarters or focusing on the silver coins of the 1960s. It is also important to understand the broader collector interest surrounding this coin. The 1967 quarter marks one of the last years before the introduction of copper-nickel clad compositions in 1968, and the change in silver coin availability has made these coins more attractive to collectors who are looking for genuine silver in circulating coins. Many coin enthusiasts are drawn to coins like this because they provide a tangible connection to the mid-20th century and the historical context of the United States during the 1960s. Owning a coin from this era allows collectors to hold a piece of history, while also benefiting from the potential appreciation of silver and numismatic value. The 1967 Washington silver quarter without a mint mark also represents an interesting investment opportunity because it combines both historical significance and metal content. The silver composition adds intrinsic value and provides a hedge against inflation or currency fluctuations, while the numismatic interest adds a collector-driven premium, making it a coin that can appeal to both investors and hobbyists. Collectors often seek these coins to complete Philadelphia mint sets or to obtain an example from the 1960s silver series that has circulated and survived in fine condition. In summary, the 1967 Washington silver quarter dollar without a mint mark in fine condition is more than just a coin. It's a piece of American history, crafted with careful artistry and meaningful symbolism. Despite its high mintage, the combination of silver content, historical context, and moderate condition makes it a collectible that continues to hold value in the marketplace. Its typical price range today is between $25 to $40, providing an accessible option for collectors while also offering potential for long-term appreciation due to its silver content and numismatic demand. For anyone interested in American coins of the 20th century, this coin represents a tangible connection to the past, a blend of artistry and history, and an opportunity to own a collectible that has stood the test of time. Next up, the 1967 Washington quarter dollar without mint mark in extra fine condition and its value in today's market in dollars. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington. The design was created by John Flanagan, and it became one of the most recognizable designs in United States coin history. On the front of the coin, you see the left-facing portrait of George Washington with the word Liberty above his head and the date 1967 below. On the back of the coin, you see a strong eagle with its wings spread, holding arrows and olive branches, which represent both strength and peace. Around the eagle, you see United States of America and E pluribus unum, and at the bottom, the denomination quarter dollar. Now, when we talk about the 1967 quarter, we must understand something very important. This coin is not made of silver. Many people believe that all old quarters are silver, but that is not true. Silver quarters were made until 1964. Starting in 1965, the United States changed the composition because silver prices were rising and people were hoarding silver coins. So the 1967 quarter is made of copper and nickel clad over a pure copper core. That means it does not contain silver, and its value mostly depends on condition and collector demand, not precious metal content. Another important fact about the 1967 quarter is the missing mint mark. During the years 1965, 1966, and 1967, the mint removed mint marks from coins to reduce coin collecting and hoarding. All quarters from 1967 do not have a mint mark. So if you see a 1967 quarter without a mint mark, that is completely normal and not an error. It does not increase the value by itself. Now, let us talk about mintage. The 1967 Washington quarter had a very large production. Over 1 billion coins were struck that year. Because of this high number, the coin is very common. Even today, many examples still survive in circulation and collections. That means rarity is not the main reason for value in this case. Condition becomes the most important factor. When we say extra fine condition, we're talking about a coin that shows light wear but still has strong detail. In extra fine condition, Washington's hair details are still visible, although slightly worn. The cheek and jawline show small signs of circulation but are not heavily flattened. On the reverse side, the eagle feathers are mostly clear, and the wings still show strong lines. The overall appearance is sharp but not uncirculated. There is clear evidence the coin was used in everyday transactions, but it was not abused or heavily damaged. In today's market, a 1967 Washington quarter without mint mark in extra fine condition usually sells for around $1 to $4, depending on eye appeal and exact grade. Because the coin is common, it does not reach very high prices in circulated grades. If the coin is very attractive, with strong detail and minimal marks, it may sell closer to the higher end of that range, but most examples trade for only a few dollars. However, things can change if the coin has a rare mint error. For example, double die errors, off-center strikes, or coins struck on wrong metal planchets can bring much higher prices. Some error examples have sold for $50, $100, or even several $100s depending on rarity and condition. But these are special cases and not typical for regular extra fine coins. Collectors still appreciate the 1967 quarter because it represents an important transition period in American coinage. It shows the change from silver to clad composition. It also represents the time when mint marks were removed to control hoarding. For new collectors, it's an affordable coin to study grading and condition. For experienced collectors, it fills an important spot in Washington quarter collections. If you have a 1967 quarter in extra fine condition, it is always good to examine it carefully under proper lighting. Look for strong detail, clean surfaces, and any unusual features. Avoid cleaning the coin because cleaning can reduce its value. Naturally aged surfaces are preferred by collectors. So, in summary, the most valuable 1967 Washington quarter without mint mark in extra fine condition is usually worth between $1 and $4 in today's market. While it is not a rare silver treasure, it is still a historic and collectible piece of American coinage. Its real value depends on condition, eye appeal, and whether any rare errors are present. For collectors, it remains a classic mid-20th century coin that tells the story of change in United States money and continues to hold steady interest in the hobby even decades after it was first struck.
Next up, the 1965 Washington quarter dollar without a mint mark in extra fine condition. This coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but for collectors, it holds a unique place in the market, and understanding its value requires looking closely at its history, design features, production, and the collector's interest that surrounds it. The Washington quarter dollar was first issued in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and it quickly became a staple of American coinage. The 1965 issue is particularly significant because it marks the beginning of a major change in the composition of the quarter. Prior to 1965, Washington quarters were struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, which gave them intrinsic value due to their precious metal content. However, starting in 1965, the United States Mint transitioned to a clad composition, consisting of an inner layer of pure copper sandwiched between outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This change was prompted by the rising price of silver, which made continued production of silver quarters economically unsustainable. Because the 1965 Washington quarter contains no silver, it might not be as intrinsically valuable as earlier issues, but its numismatic value can still be significant, especially in higher grades. Extra fine condition indicates that the coin has very light wear on the highest points of the design. The intricate details of George Washington's profile remain sharp, and the lettering and date are fully legible. Coins in this condition are highly sought after by collectors who value the preservation of original detail and eye appeal. The design of the 1965 Washington quarter follows the classic obverse portrait of George Washington, which was created by sculptor John Flanagan in 1932. The obverse features a dignified profile of Washington facing left, with the inscriptions "Liberty" above his head and "In God We Trust" to the left of the portrait. The date 1965 is clearly placed at the bottom of the coin. The reverse design displays a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and an olive branch. This design emphasizes strength and peace and has been an enduring symbol of American coinage for decades. One interesting aspect to note about the 1965 Washington quarter is the absence of a mint mark. The mint had stopped placing mint marks on coins from 1965 through 1967 in order to discourage coin hoarding during a period when silver coins were being removed from circulation. This means that all 1965 quarters were produced in Philadelphia and bears no mint mark. This absence does not negatively affect the value. In fact, it often simplifies identification for collectors who are looking specifically for coins from this transitional period. Market value for the 1965 Washington quarter in extra fine condition has remained relatively stable but steadily collectible because of the quality of preservation that the coin exhibits. Collectors often look for coins that exhibit full luster, sharpness, and minimal wear in the central design areas. While circulated coins from this year are abundant because the mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1965, those in extra fine condition are far less common. This scarcity in higher grades is what drives collector interest and makes coins like the one we are discussing particularly desirable. In today's market, the value of a 1965 Washington quarter without mint mark in extra fine condition typically ranges from $15 to $25, depending on the eye appeal and specific characteristics of the coin. Coins that exhibit exceptional luster, minimal contact marks, and overall visual appeal can command prices at the higher end of this range.
Coins that may have minor imperfections or slight wear still hold a premium over standard circulated examples because of their quality grade. Collectors also pay attention to any minor errors or variations that may appear on these quarters. While the 1965 series was produced with fewer anomalies than some earlier issues, any slight doubling of the date or letters and small die imperfections can further enhance the coin's value. In addition, coins with a strong original strike are more desirable because the flan during this period was slightly softer than modern coins, making high-quality strikes a bit rarer. It is also worth mentioning the role of coin grading in establishing value. Professional grading services have standardized the assessment of coins using terms like extra fine, extremely fine, or mint state. These standardized grades help buyers and sellers understand the quality and condition of a coin quickly. A 1965 Washington quarter without mint mark that has been professionally graded as extra fine can fetch higher prices in auctions or private sales compared to ungraded coins because buyers have confidence in the coin's quality. Collectors seeking to purchase this coin should also be mindful of authenticity and provenance. Purchasing from reputable sources or verified auction listings ensures that the coin is genuine and that its grade accurately reflects its condition. Careful examination for signs of wear, damage, or cleaning is essential, as improperly cleaned coins may lose value even if they appear visually appealing. The historical context of the 1965 Washington quarter adds to its story. Collectors appreciate coins that represent changes in American coinage, and this quarter marks a pivotal shift from silver to clad coins. It represents an era when economic pressures and rising silver prices directly influenced the design and composition of circulating coins. As a result, the 1965 quarter is not just a piece of currency, but a tangible link to the history of the United States Mint and mid-20th century American coinage. In summary, the 1965 Washington quarter without mint mark in extra fine condition holds value beyond its face amount. It's a piece that reflects a major transition in U.S. coinage and offers collectors an opportunity to own a well-preserved example from a historically significant year. Its value in today's market ranges from $15 to $25, with the potential for higher prices if the coin exhibits exceptional quality or minor collectible variations. The combination of historical significance, design appeal, condition, and scarcity in higher grades makes this coin a sought-after item for collectors around the world. Whether you're an experienced collector or just beginning to explore the world of coin collecting, the 1965 Washington quarter represents a fascinating example of American numismatic history. Its timeless design, transitional composition, and presence in extra-fine condition make it an enduring collectible worth considering for any collection. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you next time. Happy collecting!
Next up, today we are going to talk about a coin that many people have seen in their pockets, but very few truly understand. The 1981 Washington quarter with the D mint mark struck in Denver, and how much this coin is worth today in extra fine condition in real market dollars. The Washington quarter series began in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, and the design quickly became one of the most recognized coin designs in United States history. By 1981, the quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 50 years, and it had become a normal part of everyday life, used in stores, vending machines, banks, and businesses across the country. The 1981 D quarter was produced at the Denver Mint, and the small letter D appears on the obverse just to the right of Washington's ponytail. This small mint mark tells collectors exactly where the coin was made. In 1981, the Denver Mint struck more than 575 million quarters, which means this coin was produced in very large numbers. Because of this high mintage, the coin is considered common in circulated grades. Now let us talk about the metal composition, because many people confuse this coin with older silver quarters. The 1981 quarter is not silver. It is made of a copper core with outer layers of copper nickel. This clad composition had been used since 1965, when silver was removed from regular circulating quarters due to rising silver prices. So when we talk about value today, we are not talking about silver melt value, but strictly collectible value based on condition, demand, and rarity.
Condition is everything in coin collecting. Two coins from the same year and mint can have completely different values depending on how much wear they show. Extra fine condition, also known as extremely fine, means the coin has seen circulation but still has strong detail. On the obverse, Washington's hair will show light wear on the highest points, but most strands remain visible. The cheek and jaw area will be slightly worn but not flat. The word Liberty and the date 1981 will be bold and sharp. On the reverse, the eagle's breast feathers will show light wear but still remain mostly defined. The wings will still display feather detail, and the arrows and olive branches will be clear. The rim will be complete and strong around the edges. In extra fine condition, the coin still has eye appeal even though it is not uncirculated. Because the 1981 D quarter was made in such high numbers, most examples found in circulation today are worn down to average circulated grades worth face value. But when you find one in extra fine condition, collectors are willing to pay a small premium because it represents a better preserved example from that year. In today's market, a 1981 D Washington quarter in extra fine condition typically sells for around $1 to $3, depending on overall eye appeal, surface quality, and exact grading. If the coin has attractive surfaces, minimal marks, and strong detail, it may bring closer to the higher end of that range. If it has dull color, heavier contact marks, or slightly more wear, it may stay closer to $1. It is important to understand that this value is for normal business strike coins without major errors. If a 1981 D quarter has a significant mint error, such as a double die, off-center strike, or major die crack, then the value can increase dramatically. But standard extra fine examples without errors remain in the low single-digit dollar range. Many new collectors hope that every older quarter is worth a large amount of money, but the reality is that rarity and demand control price. The 1981 D quarter is not rare in circulated grades. However, collectors building a complete Washington quarter set from 1932 onward still need this date and mint mark to complete their albums. That steady demand keeps the coin slightly above face value in higher circulated grades. When comparing extra fine coins to uncirculated examples, the price difference becomes more noticeable. Uncirculated coins that show no wear and full mint luster can sell for several dollars more than extra fine pieces, and coins graded at very high mint state levels by professional grading services can reach much higher prices at auction, especially if they are nearly flawless. But those are exceptional cases and not typical for coins found in circulation. Another important factor in value is overall eye appeal. Two extra fine coins can technically fall in the same grade, yet one may look much nicer than the other. A coin with even color, light, attractive toning, and minimal distracting marks will always sell faster and sometimes for more money than a dull, heavily marked example. Even in lower premium coins, presentation matters. Collectors also look at strike quality. Some 1981 D quarters may show slightly weaker strike details, especially in the center of the design. A sharply struck extra fine coin with crisp lettering and clear feather detail is more desirable than one with soft features. For anyone searching through pocket change or old coin jars, the 1981 D quarter is worth checking, but expectations should remain realistic. In extra fine condition, it is a modest collectible, not a rare treasure. Its value of roughly $1 to $3 makes it affordable for beginner collectors and useful for filling album spaces without spending large amounts of money. The real value of this coin is educational. It teaches new collectors how grading works. It helps them learn to identify wear patterns. It shows the importance of mint marks and production numbers. And it reminds us that even common coins have a place in the hobby. So, if you own a 1981 Washington quarter with a D mint mark in extra fine condition, you are holding a well-preserved example of a widely circulated American coin from the early 1980s. In today's market, you can reasonably expect it to be worth around $1 to $3, depending on quality and buyer interest. It is not silver, it is not rare, but it is still part of history and part of a long-running coin series that continues to attract collectors around the world. Understanding coins like this builds the foundation for spotting truly rare and valuable pieces in the future, and that's what makes coin collecting exciting, not just the high prices, but the knowledge you gain along the way. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin collecting content. See you in next time. Happy collecting!